Hi, I'm Ben. Welcome back to my channel. I can't really believe how quickly this year is flying by. I feel very much like the older I get, the more that time speeds up. I'm sure that's not just me. But although the end of 2025 is in sight, it's not over yet, and there's just over a quarter of the year still to go, and that means there is room for a new book to still be released and become your favourite book of the year. We've had, in my opinion, a lot of really fantastic book releases so far this year, but publishers aren't taking their feet off our necks as the year draws to a close. And so I just wanted to run through 10 books that are still to come out in 2025, in the UK at least, ones that I am personally quite excited about. There are, of course, many more books than this being released over the next few months, so if there are any that I don't mention that you are looking forward to, please do let everyone else know about them in the comments. Okay, the first book that I'm going to talk about is coming out on the 16th of October, and that is Heart the Lover by Lily King. Now, I have never ever read Lily King before, and to be honest, in the UK at least, it feels like she's always been marketed much more in the romance space, and so she's kind of flown under my radar. But then I went to an event a few months ago by her publisher, which I think is her new publisher in the UK, Canongate, and they are making a conscious effort to try and reposition her more into literary fiction. And I spoke to one of the publicists about this, and they just think it better aligns with what she writes and how she writes, and that made me a lot more interesting because, like everyone else, I am not immune to marketing. This book is about a woman who is a successful writer and she has a happy life, but then she's visited by someone from her college days who forces her to kind of confront some things from her youth. In the run up to its release, I'm starting to see a lot of buzz about this on social media, and I very nearly took it with me on a short trip to London, but I was warned that it is absolutely not a book for in-public consumption because of the risk of ugly crying. I do love being emotionally devastated by a story though, so I think as the winter draws in and the nights get longer, I am very ready for Ms. King to poke me in the eyes with her words. Next is Jesus Christ Kinski by Benjamin Myers, which is coming out a week later on the 23rd of October. If you've been here a while, you'll know I love Benjamin Myers' work, and somehow his bibliography oscillates between heartwarming stories of friendship and then this weird, daring stuff, and his latest novel is definitely in that latter category. This is based on some real events in the early 1970s when this guy called Klaus Kinski put on a one-man show about Jesus. And this book is about that show, the uproar that it caused, but also about someone 50 years later becoming fixated with video footage of Kinski. It's supposed to be about art and performance, creativity, censorship, and about bad people who make great art, which feels like a very pressing question for modern society. My last Myers read was the heartwarming The Offing, so I'm very excited for another swoop into the stranger corners of his mind. Speaking of strange genius, the next book I wanted to mention is also coming out on the 23rd of October, and it is the new book from Jon Fosse, which is Vaim, translated from Norwegian by Damian Searls. This is Fosse's first new work since winning the Nobel Prize for Literature. This is about a man who takes his boat, which is named after his long-lost first love, into the big city to buy some thread. But while he's doing that, he gets cheated out of some money twice, and then while he's sleeping on his boat, in the middle of the night, he is awoken by the woman for whom the boat is named. It sounds pretty simple, maybe slightly weird, but I reckon this is going to be filled with meditations on love and loss and memory. It's another little slip of a novel from him, and I'm sure it will be written in his trademark elliptical style. I've only read Alice at the Fire, and I really enjoyed it. It surprised me because I wasn't sure that really dense style was going to be something I could get into, but I did, and I'm definitely interested in trying more, and this one could be a good next one for me to tackle. Coming on the 30th of October is the sophomore novel from Chloe Michelle Howarth, which is called Heap, Earth Upon It, which in my opinion is a pretty fantastic title. To my shame, I still have not read Howarth's Nero shortlisted debut Sunburn, but her next book is already on the way, and it sounds really good. It's set in the 1960s about these four orphan siblings who arrive in a new village, and they're met with suspicion and some derision by lots of the inhabitants, but their neighbours are a well-respected couple and they take them under their wing and support them. And in the case of one of the siblings, that new friendship becomes both intense and dangerous. One big thing it obviously has going for it is that it's an Irish book, and Irish books rarely miss. I have actually had this copy for a really long time and saw Chloe give a reading of the book at an event earlier in the year. It sounded fab. I really wanted to read it, but I'm always a bit unsure of reading and reviewing a book too far in advance, because I assume it must be kind of boring to hear very much about a book that you can't get your hands on for a really long time. I know people have similar problems with the Booker Prize when it nominates unreleased books, but with the release date approaching, I can finally dive into this if I can fit it in somewhere on my never-ending TBR. Moving into November then, and we've got the 11th Hour by Salman Rushdie coming on the 4th of November. This is Rushdie's first fiction work since he suffered that awful attack in New York, and this is a collection of short stories that take place across India and England and ask questions about the meaning of home and the things we'll grapple with at the end of our lives, the 11th hour of our lives. Sounds like it could be depressing, but maybe it's hopeful, who knows. The description I read of the book does make it sound like it might revisit the setting of his Booker-winning Midnight's Children, and that this will be laced with his usual magical realism. I don't know if the stories are linked at all. It doesn't seem like they are, and that might count this out of being able to deliver Rushdie what would be his 9th Booker nomination, I think, but I'm sure his fans will be delighted to get a new book from him either way. On the 6th of November, we're getting Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. This has been out elsewhere for absolutely ages, and I've seen people raving about it so much that I was considering importing it from Australia, where McConaghy's from, or from the US, but I'm glad that I didn't bother because it is finally being released in the UK. And even better than that, it's coming straight to paperback. McConaghy tends to write a lot about environmental themes, and this seems to be very much in that sphere as well. This is about the caretaker of a tiny island that houses the world's largest seed bank, where a mysterious woman washes ashore, and there is also this storm brewing and gathering force. I don't need to know any more than that. Give me the science, give me the mystery, give me the symbolism of the storm, all of it, I'm definitely in. Also coming out on the 6th of November is The Wax Child by Olga Ravn, translated from Danish by Martin Aitkin. This is a new short novel from the author of The Employees, based on a real-life witch trial that happened in Denmark in the 17th century. It's all about witchcraft and sorcery, about having a tarnished name and being persecuted for it. I assume it'll also be about what it meant to be a woman at a time where any woman breaking the mould was met with great suspicion. I actually read The Employees earlier this year and mostly enjoyed it, although I did find it a little hard to connect with, but definitely up for trying more of her work and interested to see if this is more straightforward in its prose and construction. One more book coming out on the 6th of November that sounds really good is Borderline Fiction by Derek Owusu. This is a book that reaches into the mind of a young black man across two interweaving narratives of him when he's 19 and then him when he's 25. In the earlier timeline, he is in love and he's trying to straighten out his lifestyle of drugs and casual hookups, and in the later part he's worried about making the same mistakes all over again. The book's been described by early readers as tortured, beautiful, anxious and poetic, which is such an intense sounding mixture of things, and it could shape up to be something really special. Also, that cover is absolutely banging. Jumping ahead then to the 17th of November, we're getting the release of The Wayfinder by Adam Johnson. Now, if you are looking to get your biceps going, you're looking to get a little bit of a pump on, then this might be the perfect book for you, because this new epic is almost 750 pages long. Johnson has previously won the Pulitzer for his novel The Orphan Master's Son, which I'll admit I've not read, but I have heard a bit of buzz about this one on a few fall preview podcasts, and I'm very easy to get excited about a new release. This is about a young girl from a remote insular Tongan island. Her people are struggling, but one day a stranger turns up and offers her the chance to save them. She just has to come with him, and then they embark on a journey to a world that is strange to her, one that, from the sounds of it, is full of magical realism and brutal conflict. I think it sounds absolutely epic, although I'm not actually sure it's got a proper UK publisher. It is listed on the Waterstones site, but sometimes they do list US books, so I'm not sure of the status of that one for the UK. And the final book that I'm going to mention, which I'm hoping is my 10th one because I actually have not been counting, but it is On the Calculation of Volume 3 by Solvej Balle, translated, is this from Danish? I think it's from Danish, by Sophia, Hersi Smith and Jennifer Russell, which is out on the 20th of November. And look, okay, I have to admit, I have not massively enjoyed part 1 and especially not enjoyed part 2 of this series. I found them brimming with really interesting ideas, but a bit boring and repetitive in execution. But the final paragraph of part 2 was really interesting and I kind of want to see where it goes. I'm willing to give this one more shot. And I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it, but I do have 2 observations to make. One is that this volume has a different translator to the first 2, which were both translated by Barbara Haviland. I'm really interested to see how, if at all, this affects the style of the book. And second, it is an absolute crime that this is not being released on the 18th of November. That is free marketing. That is such a missed opportunity. At least release it before so that everyone can be reading it on the 18th. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a book publicist. And although that comes out on the 20th of November, that is the last book I'm going to talk about because I couldn't find anything interesting coming out in December. I suppose the run up to Christmas is when like celebrity memoir and recipe books take the stage because they want you to buy them as gifts. I'm sure there must be something coming out though, I've probably just missed it. Do let me know in the comments if you are interested in any of these books, and as I mentioned up at the start of the video, there's plenty of stuff I've missed, so if there are any books you're really excited about, do let everyone know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button because it really helps the channel out. And if you're not subscribed, well, now is a great time to do so. But until next time, toodles.